Testing.
All right, guys, we're officially in session. The regular meeting of the Cape May City Planning Board is now in session, and in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. Should any member of this board have reason to believe this meeting is being held in violation of that act, they shall so state at this time. Hearing none, we'll start with a pledge of allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Karen, roll call.
Okay. Mr. Bezaire,
Here.
Mr. Jones,
Here.
Ms. McCorkle,
Here.
Mr. Crowley, Mr. Gorgone,
Here.
Mayor Mullick, Councilmember Yeager,
Here.
Mrs. Reed,
Here. Mr.
Mr. Lundholm,
Here.
Mr. Padusis.
Here.
Mr. Crippen.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, the first item is Resolution 5-14, 2024, Master Plan Consistency Review of Ordinance 531-2024, an ordinance prohibiting the use of artificial turf in the city of Cape May. Any corrections on the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Got a second?
I'll second.
Now, we have 11 guys here, so only the 9 regular members are going to be voting.
Mr. Gorgone motions, Mr. Crippen seconds. Mr. Gorgone?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Abstain.
Mr. Crowley? Yes. Mr. Lundholm?
Abstain.
Ms. McCorkle?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bezaire?
Now, I'm going to have them talk.
Bill?
Mr. Bezaire, your vote for the shade
Say yes.
artificial
Yes.
turf? Yes, thank you.
Okay, we've
I was
got,
going to fake it for you.
we got the minutes of March 26, 2024. Motion to approve?
Motion.
There is one correction
Okay.
on it, on whatever On the second page, under the motion for the ordinance on artificial turf, my name was not shown there for voting in favor of it, and I believe Mr. Malloy was not there, so he should be crossed off and my
Okay.
name added.
Got that, Karen?
Yes, I'll make the correction. Thank you.
All right, motion to approve with that correction?
Who seconds?
Actually, it was moved already. Who seconds?
I made a motion.
I thought
Yeah.
Dennis made the motion.
Who seconds?
Second.
Is that Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Crippen motions, Mr. Jones seconds. Mr. Gorgon?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Councilmember Yeager?
Abstain.
Mrs. Reed?
Abstain.
Mr. Crowley?
Yes.
Mr. Lundholm?
Abstain.
Ms. McCorkle?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bizarre?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the Historic Preservation Commission proposed changes to the City of Cape May's Historic District local district map. Before we, well, there's going to be, we have a plan in front of us. There's a little bit of discussion as to whether there's a couple of different plans that are not quite syncing, and I think we're going to have Paul come up and explain his map.
I don't think we're going to do that. Wait.
We'll just talk about
Yeah.
the differences. Okay.
So first, I want to apologize. Part of I think the confusion was, you guys, the board did not receive this color version of the proposed changes in your package. So that I apologize for. So just for that reason, I think that's where it stemmed the confusion between, if you look at, in your package, it's an 8.5 by 11,
Right.
black and white of this, and when it reduces down, very hard to see, and I can understand the confusion with that. So I just want to say, present the color copy for you tonight. Had some discussions with the HPC Chair, Warren Copeland, and discussing maybe creating a second map to show an outline on this map that shows the existing boundaries, so the board can clearly see where the changes are in the two lines. And I'll make sure I can get that map to the HPC and to the board well in advance of the next meeting, so that way you have two of those, colored maps to effectively make a review of the application.
Okay, now, I'm assuming that the board's going to be okay with postponing this tonight till we have further definition on the map. But before we do that, there's some folks here who wanted to come and say something. So if you guys want to come up and, is the microphone working there? Well, somebody will need to come up and.
And you can also, folks, you can also have the option, sir, you can also have the option, since we're not unlikely to take action on this tonight, if you want to speak with the chairperson of the HPC and the city manager privately about the concerns regarding your property, you can do that instead. I mean, it's up to you. You're perfectly welcome to speak in public, but if you'd rather, you've got the two primary people you'd want to ask questions to. They're going to know the most. So that's up to you. Do whatever you wish. I'm going to swear you in first, okay?
Is the microphone on?
Can you please tell me your, I'm going to ask? Okay, good. Hi. Can you please state your name, spell it, and then give your street address, and then you can say whatever you'd like to say.
Alexander Berkian, Alexandra, Berkian, 1304 Washington Street.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, go ahead.
Is the microphone on?
Can you
turn that on?
Sorry. So really, tonight, we just kind of wanted to state that we objected to this motion. I'm just going to read what I have here. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Alex Berkian, and I would like to go on record regarding Resolution 2023-47, specifically as it pertains to 1304 Washington Street, Block 1144, Lot 1 and 2. I understand by reading this resolution that it may have been passed in December, but I would like to make a few points for the record on the minutes. My intent is to oppose inclusion of our property in the local historic district in any capacity, review any alleged inclusions dated 18 December 2023, and gain clarification on the city's method of communication and inclusion for voting residents. Per the City of Cape May website, under the Historic Preservation Commission, I note that the historic district map does not include my property and that Exhibit B of the resolution is not posted or copied clearly enough to see the proposed amendment. I also note that this resolution operates under the Secretary of Interior standards, none of which apply to my property, which was built in 1950 and meets none of the National Park Service's requirements for the historical property consideration. If, as the ordinance proposes, the property brought within the boundaries under the ordinance be exempt from the Historic Preservation Commission regulation until a future transfer of ownership, end quote, then I request confirmation that no changes to the property of any kind require notification or other permissions requests from the Historic Preservation Commission. As such, if the city determines that the property should be inappropriately included as a historical property against the wishes of the owner, then by the same logic, I would request that all changes to the property requiring board approval also be subsidized and paid in full by proceeds of the city's Historic Preservation Fund federal grants program. I also wish to better understand the intent of the board regarding notification of participating residents. We were notified by a fellow resident who gained clarification on the intent of the meeting, and as it was not made clear on the website, nor the website clear about the deviations from the standard meeting of the third Monday of each month at 6 p.m. Finally, just on a personal note, yesterday morning, my mother, Stacy Hallburner, passed away. She was a faithful employee of the city for 35 years. Together, her and my stepdad, David Hallburner, had a collective 65-plus years of service to Cape May, both of whom made it abundantly clear that this was not their intent or wish to be involved in the historical jurisdiction in any way. Among the many, many difficulties that my family and I have had to handle over the course of the past week, a last-minute appearance in this room before you should not have been one of them. However, the poor communication and less than forthright nature of this resolution and its implementation must be addressed by the multi-generational families of Cape May that it affects directly. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. So, possibly, we can get their phone numbers and talk to them, okay? We'll get your phone numbers, and have somebody will be in touch with you. I'm not promising anything, but there'll be a line of communication. Okay. All right, so, nobody else is speaking, but I guess we'll go back to the postponement of adopting this till a future meeting. Anybody care to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the motion?
To postpone the adoption of this ordinance
Okay,
till
Is-
a future date,
to a future date?
yes.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Crippen motions, is that correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Gargone, second? Okay. Mr. Gargone?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Before I respond, I just want to ask, none of the homes that are now going to be included were notified via a letter?
No.
Is there a reason for that? Don't you think that was important?
I
think they should be.
Who would answer that?
I'm just thinking if it was my home and you were going to put it in a historic district, a personal letter to the address would have been appropriate.
Right, certainly, I mean, the ordinance doesn't require it, but your ordinance can say whatever you wanted to say, so if that's something you want to change in the ordinance, then you can change the ordinance. The planning board can make recommendations to the council, and they can suggest that before somebody's put into the historic district, they get a, But the ordinance, I don't think requires it now.
No.
Good.
What's being proposed to come back to us with is a map showing existing historical district lines and the properties.
Right.
And the ones that are being added to that. Maybe it would be a suggestion, a strong one, that those being added to it would receive a letter from the city stating that they're being added to it?
That's right.
The only, yeah, that's fine. The only thing I would suggest is, though, that really the time for that to occur would be at the HPC level. I mean, you can do it now, and, you know, as the fix, you know, to do it if you want to do it. But the idea is that the expertise as to whether or not it is a historical structure, contributory, non-contributory, that really should pass through the HPC first, and the people should have an opportunity to speak at that hearing. So
Gotcha.
for this purposes, that's kind of already happened. But if you're going to consider changing the legislation or the ordinance, that's where it would.
What you're probably going to find is that a number of them are not historic.
They're not, well, that's good, but people don't understand that. Like, they don't understand that this house, well, not that, any house that's not contributory, that it's not necessarily, it still can do things. I mean, Warren can explain it better than I can, but a lot of houses are in there for the streetscape. So maybe they might not want them to put a duplex up against the property line when all the 100-year-old houses are set back 30 feet. Like, that might be something, but they're also not going to make this 1950s house into a Victorian either. So there's, you know.
Okay.
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 Yeah, I'd just like to make one comment. In looking what was presented, there's a block 1125, lots 5 through 7, which is, I believe it's 1106 Missouri Avenue. So it's like a missing tooth, if you will.
Dropped in the middle.
And the house is about 10 years old. It's there. I believe there was a previous structure there that maybe that was something that was considered, but
We're just questioning that one property, Warren.
Should we
Can we finish the
still
vote?
table, should we table
Yeah,
the, and then have the explanation?
Okay, I guess what concerns me is we already had we led those folks to believe that we were tabling it, and now we're going to talk about it, and I just as well not. I mean, I don't want to make them feel like they, we decided to talk about this other night, so let's do that. But in the interim, any member is welcome to contact Warren or Mr. Dietrich to ask questions in advance of the next meeting, so feel free to do that.
okay.
Is that fair? And then they'll come with explanations for the next meeting.
Okay, can I finish calling the vote?
No, I want to,
So motion was made, second. Right.
Yes, so
We vote.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue, do you want me to recall the vote, or continue with Mrs. Reed?
Some of
Yes.
us have, and then it
Okay, we'll
stops.
start
When
over
Mayor,
again.
Start all over again?
yeah.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Crippen, seconded by Mr. Gorgon. Mr. Gorgon?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
yes.
Councilmember Yeager?
yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Crowley? Yes. Mr. Lundholm?
Yes.
Ms. McCorkle?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bezaire?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question about just the process from here? So does HPC have to approve any of the changes to this map, and then it comes back to the planning board, or, okay,
They're not changing it, they're just showing us what exists now, so you
Okay.
can clearly see what's being added.
okay. So this will just come back to the planning board with those minor
Yes.
I
updates?
suppose it's possible after they speak to these other folks, or maybe they hear from Mr. Gargon, maybe they'll adjust something, and then they would have to meet and do that, and then come back.
Okay.
We'll see what happens there,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Right.
Right.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Well, part of the motion is that those 89 people receive a letter from the city saying that they're going to be included in the district. Well, that's part of our motion.
When we present this at the next meeting or whenever we're scheduled, then we can talk about that.
Well, the next meeting, we'll be voting on it. The next meeting, we'll be voting on it. The next time we get together, we'll be voting on the map. So prior to that, Maryland's,
I just feel it's being transparent to the person whose house is affected.
anybody have an issue with that?
I agree.
Okay.
So the
So,
motion is to adjourn on the condition that there be mailed notice to the affected properties prior to the actual voting, right?
Yes.
That's what everyone voted on, you understand that, okay? And this list in the top corner of this map here, are they the properties that are affected? Is that what that is? All right, so you're going to give us a list of the ones you're adding? That would be good, too. All right, so if we're going to adjust that map, it might be good to have on the map a list of properties that are being added in addition to just graphically showing it. All right?
okay.
Great.
All right, so did we,
We do the added resolution for the board engineer.
okay, but we voted on that. We voted on it,
So there was a second vote on mailing the notices?
yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion for that?
A motion.
Is that Mr. Lundholm motions?
Yes.
Mr. Crowley seconds. Mr. Gorgon?
Yes.
Mayor Malik?
I missed the motion. The motion, clarifying that we're requiring the mailing.
Oh, yes, pardon me.
Thank you. Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Crowley? Yes. Mr. Lundholm?
Yes.
Ms. McCorkle?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bezare?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we now have payment of bills. Make a motion. Motion to pay the bills? Make a motion. You're
Second.
not spending any money.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mr. Jones motions, Mr. Crippen seconds. Mr. Gorgon?
Yes.
Mayor Malik?
Yes.
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed? Mr. Crowley? Mr. Lundholm?
Yes.
Ms. McCorkle?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bezare?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we added one item here. As many of you probably already know, Craig Hurlis has started his own engineering firm. He's broken off from his previous employer. And our contract is technically with Palestinian Associates. So there's a resolution that Rich prepared for tonight where we are dissolving that relationship and hiring Hurlis Associates.
Hurlis Planning and Engineering LLC.
Okay, Hurlis Planning and Engineering LLC to be the designated engineer for the planning board.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Yeager, seconded by Mr. Lundholm. Ms. Gorgon?
Yes.
Mayor Malik?
Yes.
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Crowley? Mr. Lundholm?
Yes.
Ms. McCorkle?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bezare?
Yes. Okay, I would suggest everybody don't throw this map out.
Holding on to it.
Hold on to it,
I had just one issue for discussion.
okay?
The council appointed a study group or whatever to deal with recommendations concerning affordable housing. I was just wondering what the status of the group was.
You might want to turn the mic on, Paul.
So the subcommittee met and reviewed the pending, it might be adopted already now, the updated legislation that's going to put forth the next round. We looked at the timelines that were required by that. The first, I'll say, milestone was probably trying to have they establish what our numbers are, I think in September of this year, maybe, or October of this year, and then the city would have a certain period of time to agree to those numbers, and then there's, between now and next year, there's a series of timelines that we have to work on, preparing a plan, submitting the plan, seeing if there's any objectors to the plan, and working through that.
This is the next round of COA, basically?
Yeah.
Next round of COA.
It's a totally new process.
New and improved, as only the state
We don't know
can
what
do.
that is.
I'm not calling it improved.
So, but we'll be, obviously looking to Craig to work with us in developing the methodology and how we're going to comply. I think that we're optimistic that if we can have some negotiations with the Kimmie City Housing Authority and a proposed project, that we might be able to meet most of or all of our obligations with that project. And I think we're attempting to set up a meeting here over the next several weeks with the Housing Authority and the subcommittee to further detail that, to make sure to endeavor to make sure that that project can satisfy the city's obligation. And then, the city will be looking for Craig to prepare that plan and report for us to respond to the state timelines.
Okay, thanks. All right, okay, final motion?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for your support.
Paul, this is very helpful. Very helpful. Yeah. Well, I'm not throwing it out, I'll tell you that.